Good day. This is Terry Difazio, and you're watching Dial It Up. Today on our show, we have John Cross of the Gray Crossing Band. It's good to have you in the show, John.
My pleasure.
Long drive down from Maine this morning.
It was a nice ride, though.
Whereabouts in Maine are you located, John?
From Brunswick, Maine.
Brunswick, okay. So you had about a 4.5 hour drive?
It was about 4 hours, 180 miles. Roughly.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, 188.
About the length of driving from here to Brattleboro is about the same.
At least.
The name of your band is the Gray Crossing Band. Can you tell us how you came up with that name?
Well, my name is John Cross, and my partner's name is Karen Gray.
Oh, okay.
So, as the old adage goes, ladies first, so we put Gray Crossing.
Okay.
Figured it would work.
And you're located in Brunswick, Maine?
We're in Brunswick, yes.
Okay. And have you ever played in Vermont before?
I played at a couple of small events in Peacham.
Oh, okay.
A few years ago, and we had a lot of fun, and that's one of the reasons why I was interested in being on your show, because we still have some friends in Peacham that will see this.
Okay. We can make sure that we get them a copy somehow, because the station doesn't reach down that far, but we can make sure that they
they actually live in St. Johnsbury.
Okay.
So I believe you're live. You're not live in Brunswick.
No.
Well, don't worry.
There's another station down there, but we can provide you or them with any sort of media they want. We can do WeTransfer, we can do DVDs, anything you like.
Perfect.
Yeah. How long has your band had this particular name?
We've been playing as Gray Crossing now for 4 years. Karen and I put it together when we started writing music together, and we found it. We had people that were asking us where we played out and what we did, and so we finally one day said, okay, well, maybe it's time to get a little bit semi-serious and come up with a name and start playing different venues and see how we do.
Oh, okay. How many people are in your band?
Actually, right now there's 3 of us full-time, and then we have a guest drummer and lead guitarist that worked with us pretty regularly. They're studio musicians, but whenever we play out, they show up.
Okay, so you'd have 3 or 4 people, 5 people?
3 people full-time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, and what are the other instruments that you
we
have in your band?
John Hoff, who plays an upright electric bass.
Oh, wow. I'd like to hear that.
Very, very cool. And Karen plays rhythm guitar, and so do I. And then we have Peter Webster, who's on the track that you'll be playing later on. He plays drums, and David Lacrette plays the lead on that.
Now, what is the genre of music that you would call this?
Because we're really songwriters, we kind of, jump across, but mostly adult alternative, soft rock, pop. We do have some jazz, and we do have some country music, as well as some folk music that we do. The stuff that we'll be playing today kind of has a Santana spin on it.
Oh.
So,
early stuff or later?
I would say more of their earlier stuff.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that first one that they did, the very first one.
Yeah, I do. Santana's always been an influence. The Latin rhythm is what I've always enjoyed, so I'm just drawn to it. And when I wrote this song called Just a Test, it came with I actually envisioned, believe it or not, a reggae band playing the music. I didn't envision myself playing it. And so, excuse me. And it was one of those things where, we put it together, and at the end of it spun into this Latin beat, and I said, okay, well, I guess we'll go ahead and try it. And I had Karen sing it, and she did a great job with it.
Okay. You play an electric guitar, an acoustic, or?
I have 5 different guitars I go back and forth from. It depends on what song I'm actually playing. But I have an acoustic electric Taylor that I use quite a bit. And I also have a semi-hollow body Ibanez Art Core that I frequent quite a bit.
Ibanez makes a very good guitar.
I've been very happy with Ibanez. I had an Ibanez Artist probably 30 years ago, and I loved that guitar. And it was one of those things where, you know, I always regretted getting rid of it. You know, but you never, hindsight's 20/20. So one of those things.
Yeah, some of my favorite guitar players play Ibanez. I know Steve Vai and Joe Satriani play Ibanez.
Exactly. Yeah.
Of course, their guitars are probably $1,500 to $2,000 now, something like that.
Yeah, I have a really nice Fender guitar. Everyone loves it, but I call it my Walmart guitar because the people I play with all play the $3,000 and $4,000 Martins and so forth. So.
Oh, is that right?
So it's. They laugh when I call it that, but it actually does a real good job. But most of the time, I use my Taylor nowadays.
Okay. Now, you've recorded albums, correct?
Yeah, we have.
About how many albums have you guys recorded?
You know, we're working on our second one right now, and we're actually going to go back through and re-record our first one. You know, when we first started out recording, we're really just using demo tracks, making demo tracks for gigs and so forth. And then we started entering some music contests and songwriter contests and so forth. We played on a show called Community Auditions. It's out of Massachusetts. It's kind of.
I think I've seen them on the VMX.
Yeah, they're kind of like a America's Got Talent type show venue, and we played on that. And then we've been into a couple of other songwriter contests. We did pretty well. I mean, we didn't expect to win, and, you know, but it was good experience getting out in front of people.
Yeah, you had some fun too, I imagine.
Absolutely, it was. You know, it's good exposure and it's good experience as to getting out and playing in front of a live audience and being on television and so forth.
Was the TV audience? Was it a bigger audience?
It was. We were probably about 600 people at the one show.
Oh, okay.
So that was at the Hard Rock Cafe at Foxwoods Casino.
Oh, yeah.
So it was a good time. It was a great venue. I mean, it was a long drive. It was like 248 miles to get there. And then you had to be there at 7 o'clock in the morning and wait in the green room. We were in the green room for 6 hours.
Oh, is that right?
So that was a long day. And then turn around and drive back to Maine, which made for quite a trip.
Yeah, quite a long drive to say the least.
Quite a day.
And how many people did you bring that time?
It was just Karen and I for that one. We used their band, their orchestra, to play and back us up. And we did a song that we wrote called Virginia, a Spirit of the Kennebec, which is a song we wrote for another show. It was called the Chocolate Jubilee at the Chocolate Church in Bath, which is a world-renowned stage. And the theme for the Jubilee was the Spirit of the Kennebec River, which is a huge river in Maine. And so what we did was we looked around and we came up with an idea for a song about the first ship built in Maine, which was called the Virginia, and it was built right on the Kennebec River. And so what we did, we referenced, and I have to give Karen a lot of credit for this, but we referenced a lot of the areas around the Bath area, and, you know, little towns and all the information. So if you actually lived in that area, you would have said, oh, I know this town, or I know that area. And she came up with a lot of interesting information about what the Indians' names for the Kennebec was at one point called the Long Blade, and Bath, Maine was known by the Indians as Long Reach.
Oh,
so it was, so really, and so we incorporated that into the song. And then we played it for a 4-night venue at the Chocolate Church, which was pretty fun. And that was also aired on, I think it was PBS, to be honest with you. And it may have been a public access channel, but I'm not sure. I think it was PBS.
Yeah, PBS reaches a lot further than the public access channels, which is good.
Yeah, it was good exposure. A funny story about that. I was working one day and my phone rang and my mother called me and she says, "Oh my God, Johnny, I just turned the TV on and there you were." So you always want to be in front of your parents, make your mother or your father proud at some point. But it was funny. She knew I was going to be on TV, but she had no idea, and she was just making lunch and turned on the TV, and boom, there I was.
Yeah, and I tell people when I have them on, I go, yeah, you're going to be a TV star now. You know?
Yeah.
Well, you're on TV, put it that way.
Yep.
Have you guys done any music videos?
We have a couple of videos, and we haven't really done anything seriously. We were going to make a video for this show, and we actually are working on it. And what we were showing with the video was in the recording process of us in the studio, and we had the whole band in the video. But unfortunately, the mixing wasn't done in time for this show. But eventually, I'll have that posted up on Facebook and on our Reverb Nation page, so people can actually see it.
Oh, okay. You guys have a web page?
We do. It's on Reverb Nation. Just go to Gray Crossing at reverbnation.com.
I'm gonna put a I don't know what you call it. I'm gonna put in a frame that puts that on, so everybody will know where to go for it. And I'll definitely look there myself too. Mm-hmm. Did you go to any music school or any college for this to learn how to play?
I was kind of a trained singer, as in that I was in a choir for many, many years, and I was what they called a requiem soprano. So I sang at funerals, a cappella, and I used to get paid to do it. And I have sang at least 1,000 funerals. And then I had the opportunity to go to Europe to be in a boys' choir in Europe. I don't remember what the name of it was now. It was somewhere in France. And I really wasn't interested in that. It was, because I didn't want to become a priest, and that's what I felt it was like a path to priesthood. And it's like, that's not really where my heart was at, for my future. But I got a great deal of training and vocal training, and learned to sight read music, that way.
For training purposes, it was probably very helpful, wasn't it?
It was immensely helpful in learning and disciplines with breathing and learning to sing harmony, and also learning, good etiquette when singing with others and helping bring balances and levels all together. So it was a good job.
Were you mostly in Catholic churches or Protestant churches?
I sang in Catholic churches, but later on I started singing gospel music and playing gospel music, and I used to go to several different venues. And another thing that I would do is just to give back to the community, I started playing at some of our local retirement homes. And I play for free, go to evenings or the Christmas parties and play for them, provide live music.
Now, I would imagine if, I don't know about the churches you played at, but I would imagine if you went into some of the bigger Catholic churches, they have these huge pipe organs. How is it to be singing with something like that?
Catholic churches also enjoy folk music.
Oh, they do?
And if you have, if you have the right music, there's a lot of music that they allow in. So, and your average Baptist church, it's gospel music. Any good gospel song will work. And but you'd be surprised. I mean, nowadays they're a lot more progressive than they used to be.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be all Greek Orthodox anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I notice I've been to many different Catholic churches, and I know some of them do have folk music that they use in there as well. But I bet a lot of them still have these huge pipe organs too.
Oh, and there's nothing. Nobody can compete with a pipe organ. They have just an incredible sound. The church that I grew up in had one bank of pipes. It was 7,000 pipes, and the other bank was 3,000.
Yeah.
So, and then we had a choir that was about 75 members, which is a big choir. And it had been, they had actually done a great many recordings and had albums. So this was a well-known choir.
What sort of recording technique do you use? Because when I recorded back in the 80s, everything was analog. Everything was on tape. Do you do any tape, or do you use all, say, digital now?
You're going to laugh when I tell you this, but I use a hand tape recorder when I'm inspired for the song, and I flash record it. The idea for a song on that. But then actually when I start recording or decide I'm going to do a few test recordings, I use Cakewalk on my own computer. And then in the studio we use Pro Tools, Pro Tools Plus.
That's the industry standard, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. And you can do a great deal with some of the low-end recording software, but there's nothing like having the right stuff. And I'm lucky that there's a good studio right in town that I have a good working
And this is in Brunswick?
Yes, in Brunswick.
Yeah. Can you name the studio?
Jeb Enoch Recording, and it's also known as the Maine Music Mill.
Oh, okay.
So it's a cool venue. That what it is if it's bigger than your normal recording studio. So whereas you can bring an audience with you if you'd like.
Oh, okay.
They can accommodate up to probably 40 people.
Wow.
Which helps, when you charge $10 a person, it helps offset the cost of the studio time while you're recording your album. Now, obviously, that's a live recording, but I suppose you could take and do it, individual recordings. I mean, if you're going to do a real serious recording, you want to isolate drums, isolate all your members so that you can control the tracks and the balance is better. Yeah. But if you're going to do a live show, this is priceless.
Yeah, because as you know, and I'm not sure if our audience does, but I know too, because in my old recording studio, we only had 8 tracks.
Exactly.
But somebody would say, gee, this sounds good, and I'm going, well, the drums are bleeding into your vocal mic. And you'd hear that ambient, drums, so you'd have to do some overdubbing, I assume, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, there are times when you can lay everything down perfect and everything goes well. But what's really cool about the new studios, like a CD we were working on right now, you lay down one track with a guitar. If you're really happy with that track, then you can digitally duplicate it, or you can make 4 guitars with that one. Yeah. And then they're all synced perfectly, and then just switch back and forth. Say I'm using this type of amp for this one, and then use 2 or 3 other different type of Marshall amps for the other 3, but still you only played it one time, but now you're laying 4 layers right there. And in the old days, you used to have to go back and do that 4 times. You couldn't just instantly, lay those other 3 tracks on top of the first one.
Yeah. So. The technique that I used on my second album in 1985 was I put 2 Sennheiser 421s in a V shape in front of an amp and recorded it. And when we played it back, we panned one left and one right, so it sounded like a huge bank of amplifiers.
Absolutely.
And with Pro Tools, you could probably do that plus even.
And you can do with a click of a mouse, you can change and do so many things. I mean, people still like the analog stuff. I mean, because it has a warm tone, especially with drums.
Yes.
It's hard to do much with drums, but as far as for guitar work and for vocals, you just can't beat digital these days.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, the cost of tape is so incredibly high now. But some bands that I've noticed that they still have a 24-track analog that they start with, and then they transfer that into Pro Tools, because Pro Tools just gives you so much more you can do with it.
Exactly.
And then you've captured the warmth of the tape. In the albums that you guys have recorded, what is the maximum number of tracks you've used?
I think the one we're working on right now is going to be 18.
Oh, cool. Hey, that's good.
Yeah, I mean, because in a couple of our songs it'll be less, but because we like to have keyboards, we like to have the backup vocals. I really want the drums mic'd well so that we can really control everything in it. And again, it's one of those things where you just keep adding until you've found that enough. Sometimes you go a little too far and you take them back out. But I think 18 is probably going to be tops right now for one of our songs. In
the old days of analog, 24 was all you had got on a tape.
Right.
That was it. Until a guy by the name of Ronnie James Dio came along and he computer locked 2 analog machines and got 48. Now today the sky's the limit.
Exactly. Even when we go out to play, I have a soundboard. It's a 20-channel soundboard.
Yeah.
And I mean, when you only have 5 people, everybody says, well, why do you need 20 channels? Well, you do, because you need to really have the separation for your drums.
Yes.
And then you need your mics separate and your guitar amps and everything. And I like to run everything through my board so that I can balance everything and have a much cleaner and more professional sound for the listener.
Because and I know, you as a musician, that it's always better to have more than you need than run short.
Oh, there's nothing worse than having to try and, put something together with a Band-Aid at the very last second. It's so absolutely. You bring the extra chords, and you bring the extra mics, and make sure your equipment is capable.
Well, just like a sound system, it's always better to have too much power than not enough.
And that's another thing. A lot of times you go to these venues, and either they're blasting you right out of your chair,
Yeah, I've been to
or
that.
they're just below that range where they would actually sound good.
Yeah.
And so you have to have a good sound man that can actually sit back there and listen and say, okay, I really like this right here. And so that's another part of, like playing live music and having enough equipment, but having the right people helping you set it up. It's huge.
Definitely, because I've seen recording bands that are internationally known. Some of them have great engineers, and some have engineers that are absolutely atrocious.
Absolutely.
One concert I went to in Worcester, Massachusetts, at the Palladium, I felt like something was crushing me. It was so loud.
Oh.
Then I go see a band of the similar type up in Quebec City. It was a different band. It sounded like I had an incredible stereo in front of me. Everything was perfect, clean, clear. And you said it yourself, John. And I think this is very noteworthy. Your engineers really do play a big part in this, don't they?
Absolutely. I mean, I can sit down and I can play something unplugged, and then it's all on me. But when you're going through a sound system or you're going through a recorder, everything is the engineer.
Yeah.
Everything. I mean, and you have to trust them. I mean, I have a lot of input and a lot to say because I know what I want to hear.
Right.
And so I have a good working relationship with the people that I work with because they understand I have a good ear and I know what the sound I'm looking for. But a lot of times I have to rely on them to help me capture it. So I'm absolutely lucky to have those.
Now, what are some of the more noteworthy places that your band has played?
Well, the Chocolate Church, like I say, that's a world-renowned stage. The night before we played there, Leon Redbone played.
I've heard of that one, yeah.
He played on that stage, and there's a few other noteworthy people that played there. The Hard Rock Cafe was a blast. That was really, playing at Foxwood Casino, that was a real feather in our cap. I mean, because we had really just, begun at that point. Probably we've been playing together a couple of years, but that's still kind of the infancy stage for a good band. I think you need good bands really play together 3 to 5 years before they start to understand everybody's movements. I mean, with a look of a nod, you can kind of almost follow what they're going to do. And that's what makes a good band, is everybody is on the same page. You can tell when you're going too fast, or look, let's slow it down, let's pick it back up. We're too quiet, we're too loud. All those little idiosyncrasies come to the forefront when you work with somebody a lot.
And even if your band is slightly unbalanced in its sound, the engineer can fix that up pretty easy.
If you've got a good sound man at the back of the room, he's
Yeah.
going to catch it instantly, and he'll make that adjustment right then.
Yeah.
So it's key to, if you have somebody that you can put on your soundboard, it takes a lot of the headache and a lot of the regret at the end of the night out.
Definitely, and you need good equipment too.
The funny thing is, I tell people this all the time, and they, sometimes they listen and sometimes they argue, but, when you play music, you have one opportunity to play it right. So when you practice, you need to practice at home before you go to band practice. Because when you go to band practice, you shouldn't replay, unless somebody's learning something. And then at that point, you play it as many times as you have to. But when you go out to play, you only have one opportunity to do it right. So
That's right.
you have to be on your game right from the get-go. So
That's right. And the engineer can only fix up so many things.
exactly. So
I mean, there's some things an engineer can't fix.
exactly. I mean, and nobody's perfect. You're going to make mistakes. So don't worry about it. Just learn how to recover with a smile and just keep right on going. Half the time, nobody even knows you made a mistake.
Right. Sometimes that's true. What's been the biggest audience you've ever played for?
About 600 people.
600
500,
people?
600.
And that was that audition?
At that community audition show. And that was a great opportunity. I mean, we were offered when we left that, and we wished we could have taken up on it, but there's a railroad down there. It's kind of like a small Disney park. But we were offered a gig at that through the entire month of December. I can't think of the name of it. It'll come to me in a second. But supposedly there were 15,000 people who would go through that venue in a month.
Cool.
But unfortunately, it was like 350 miles from home. And at that point, we weren't real sure we wanted to get. We both have working class people. We both
Right.
have full-time jobs. So.
Do you have a record label?
Edaville Railroad, that was the name of it.
Oh.
And it's an amusement park, big amusement park. No, right now we're still working on, we copyright all of our music and we peddle it to some of the the labels now, but we're still, like I say, this album here, we're hoping for bigger things out of it.
If people want to preview your music on the internet, where can they go?
You know, the easiest place to find for a lot of people, because they're already on Facebook, just go to Gray Crossing on Facebook and they'll find us there pretty easily. You'll see a picture of myself and my partner Karen on that. And there's a link right there that takes you right to Reverb Nation, where most of our music is. And what does the band's future hold? You know, because everything is always uncertain, I'm really hoping that we'll finish this next album. And, you know, as songwriters, which is where Karen and I are really at, I mean, we're hoping that we can maybe market some of our material to other artists who are more acclaimed than us. I mean, we're not, you know, 21 anymore, so I mean, it's not like, you know, we appeal to a large audience, but our music stands on its own, I believe. So it's just a matter of you know, peddling it out there and getting it picked up by the right people.
We're going to be playing a song before we sign off, and can you tell me the name of the song that we're going to be playing?
Name of the song we're going to play is "Just a Test," and I wrote that song one time. I was sitting on top of a mountain over in Berlin, New Hampshire, and you know, you're inspired by music. I mean, sometimes you wake up and you have it all in your head, and sometimes you hear it and you spend a month trying to capture what you thought you heard. But this was a song I started to write, and people have asked me if it's a protest song, and I always tell them no, it's not a protest song.
Right.
It just the way it came out. I mean, but it's about how life is, you know, hard for some people, and how it's just a test, and we have to keep holding on and keep going.
John, our time is up, but I want to tell you it's been a pleasure having you here, and we could go on and on and on about recording techniques and sound engineering and songwriting and things like that. And I'm hoping that someday, if you're in the area again, we'll have you back on again. We're going to preview this song for our audience, and I want to thank you again.
Oh, my pleasure.
This is Terry Difazio for Dial It Up, saying we'll catch you on the flip side, and have a good day. Bye now.
She can't pay the rent. Lord knows, I know where it went. Little baby's got the fever. Doctor said that she might die. Lord knows, ask him why. 'Cause some people look for answers. Try. Some live, some give, while others die. Everybody wants for something. Everybody wants for more.